And we are, yep.
Cool.
Okay. For a second, I got scared because I forgot that this was just recording and not like like live. And I was like, oh shit. Ah. But yeah.
Oh
I
my
don't know.
God.
I really scared myself for a second.
I'm exhausted.
Alrighty, we barely even. Okay. Whew. Let's get ready.
Let's do this.
Welcome to the Yaoi Shelf. Grab a seat and relax.
Yay! Look at you, season 2. Pew, 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 pew.
Pew, 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 pew.
I can't believe that we agreed to do this again.
It's funnier just because we know what we have gone through to get to this place.
Yeah, like any good marriage, you kids don't see everything behind the closed door of your yaoi parents. But there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. One that we have to grapple with immediately up front is I have pneumonia.
Yeah. Freaking I'm not gonna be angry with you about it because it's not like it's your fault.
You know, it's just out there wilding and licking doorknobs and shit.
Right, yeah, you weren't doing that, but hopefully you've learned your lesson, you know.
From viruses?
No, taking care of yourself, bitch, dang.
learn my lesson from capricious viruses. So it's either pneumonia or very, very severe bronchitis. I
Not
don't
COVID.
know how it's being treated. I saw a doctor. This will date this episode. But if you're wondering why I sound even more seme, that's why. Do not worry about me. I am okay. I have a literal brown paper bag full of medicine.
I can hear it in your voice. Like, I can hear it.
I know, and that's why I said something.
Yeah, it's not bad. You don't sound bad.
Oh, I know
can
it
just
isn't.
hear it. Like,
I'm aware.
I'm worried. I'm not. It's fine.
Worried about what?
I don't know.
That I'm gonna like cough up blood on the camera or something?
Yeah, that'd be really gross. And I wouldn't be able to. What would I do? I can't just like.
What would you
What,
do?
what could I do? Just like, oh my god, Amanda's dying in front of me on camera.
That would be super awkward.
That would be horrible. That would be traumatizing, and I'd have to talk to my therapist about it.
There was an actor who he was doing like a really, really like physical skit, and like at the end he had a heart attack, and everyone just thought he was like pantomiming, and he just like died on stage, and no one knew.
Shut up.
Yeah.
That absolutely. I would quit. I would quit my job. I would quit. I would just. That would be so.
Yeah, because he was just like he was just all over the place. I'm gesturing if you were only listening, and like you know he grabs his chest, he slumps over, and he falls, and everyone's like, oh ha ha, funny man. Yeah, no, he died.
Can you imagine? Well, I mean, maybe I don't know. He could have been an asshole, and maybe like they were happy about it. But that sounds awful.
Like that makes it okay.
I mean, for some people, it might. Not to me. I'm still sad about it. That's
yeah,
awful.
like I mean, as an audience member, what the fuck?
Like, right? What would you
like
say?
as a stagehand, as a producer, as an assistant, like anyone in that? Because I've done back of house theater, as you can tell by my everything. I've obviously done theater. It has to be obvious, right?
I mean, I would be surprised if you said that you never
Didn't do theater. Yeah,
right.
But like, I can't imagine like being like a PA or like a light tech or something, and then just boom, dead guy.
No,
What do you do?
I would cry.
Yeah, cry.
Like
call 911
and just quit my job.
Yeah,
and like live it. Just become a hermit because
go into the woods.
God, like that would just be. I don't like it. So don't die on camera, please. Wait until after we finish.
Oh, how convenient. Thank you.
Yes. Thanks.
Before we need to introduce ourselves. For season 2, my name is Amanda, also known as AichiYume.
My name is Aisha, also known as MommaLuvsManga.
before we get started, we have a yaoi crate we need to discuss very briefly.
Yes.
We don't have to do anything on camera. We're just going to talk about it for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Because longtime listeners of the pod, which I get to say now, have heard our ongoing feud with Tokyo Pop.
Yeah.
And we're not going to rehash the drama, but let's just say, if you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that sums up everything.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why when our dear friends at Yaoi Crate said they were partnering with Tokyo Pop for their December box, we were curious.
Yes. That's a good way to put it.
Can you tell I'm Southern?
Yes.
We were intrigued.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, we both received our boxes.
Yes.
There were some shipping issues, which is no one's fault.
Right.
If
it's
any
COVID's.
of you, right. It's COVID and Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if any of you come for Yaoi Crate, we will throw hands.
For real.
Just saying. I have not seen anyone say anything.
No.
But real talk, if I see it, I will fuss at you.
Yeah.
Okay, Tokyo Pop, we see you.
Honestly, okay. So when let me just say when the box came in and I looked at it, I'm not gonna lie, my first thought was, okay, this is a little thin. This box looks hungry. Okay. And so I'd been looking.
The box is a little anemic.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know. I even mentioned to Matt, I was like, I don't know how this, I don't know.
Same.
I finally opened it today because I forgot to last night. I opened it today.
I forgot to last night too. Like I literally just opened mine.
Right, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Same.
TBH, I actually am very excited to read this volume. It looks cute.
It does look cute.
It looks very cute, and you know I love cute. So I know you don't. I know.
It's not that I don't like cute. It just has to have substance.
Right.
And cute usually doesn't have substance.
But this could. I don't know.
Yeah, I will say I'm curious. I am definitely curious.
I kind of flipped through it. I like the art style. I try not to be one of those people who is like, it's not manga if it's not by a Japanese person. I'm sometimes like that. I will listen.
You know what? I'm in the same boat with you. Mm-hmm. I can be that person.
Yes.
I'm willing to give this a pass.
Yes. And I like that it still reads. Like, it seems like it goes in the same direction that I'm used to for manga.
It was designed by weebs.
Yeah. So, I mean, cool. Like, and I'm not Japanese, so I can't sit here and say what is and what isn't appropriation or whatever. So let me not speak for Japanese people.
Have I ever told you, like, the worst colonizer line I've ever said about that?
No.
I was at the Asian New Year festival here, and I was, like, judging some kid in, like, their mall Attack on Titan cosplay at the Asian New Year festival. Because, like, it's a big deal here. It's a Lunar New Year festival for all of, like, the Asian American societies. Like, it's a real deal cultural event. And I was judging some kid in their mall Attack on Titan costume. And I told my friend, do you have any idea how much I've given to Japan? Like, I've owed something.
Girl.
And I stopped. And I was like, what the fuck did I just say?
Yeah.
But I was like, do you have any idea the amount of years I've given to Japan?
How dare this person come in here with
How dare this person in their fucking Hot Topic ass cosplay?
Oh my gosh.
I'm a rude
But
ass
I mean, I get it though, because like when you're so like entrenched in like something like in a cultural product or whatever, like
separate from the cartoons they produce.
Yes, it can be hard to like.
Yeah,
it is. So I have to like check myself all the time. I'm like, listen, it is not my place to say what is and is not manga. Yeah.
I will say I will be that person sometimes. I'm not today. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's the steroid and cough medicine.
Right. I think for me it's the fact that it reads the way that I'm used to manga reading.
Yes.
Is in the style. I guess because so for me, I'm learning that what really makes manga for me, you know, is the art style and the way, like the direction that you read it in.
Yes.
At least I'm trying to be that person who gives that.
I respect that journey for you.
Right. I will say I did when I was in Kyoto a couple years, 800 years ago is what it feels like.
1,000 years ago.
We went to the Kyoto, the manga museum. Like there's a huge museum there, and I just sat and read manga. But like Matt actually walked around and like learned stuff. And he said that he watched like a little video like with different mangaka like talking about what makes things manga, and I think there was a conversation about like what counts as manga from like the West and stuff like that, and it seemed from that that a lot of them just were like, yeah, like we wouldn't call it something different. So it's like, okay.
What's amazing is that Westerners are actually a lot more puritanical about these things than they are, which is something that we'll actually be talking about very, very soon.
Oh yeah, look at me like bringing up things that are actually on topic.
I mean, it wasn't. I had to segue the fuck into that.
Shut up.
Like, no, you didn't. You did not. You did not contribute.
You looked like your face immediately was like, this bitch. No, she did not just.
No, you didn't. You did not. Well, you didn't.
Oh, Lord.
This is why you don't ever co-host with only children, because we don't go with the flow with this shit. Like, if we're doing a group project and you did not help, it's like, I contributed. No, this hoe didn't.
He's like, no, I did all this.
I did this. My mom bought this poster board. Like,
I have actual tears. Oh my gosh. Oh, that was so funny.
Yeah, don't partner with only children, because we don't go with the flow with that shit at all.
This is something I'm learning.
There's no like hint, wink, wink. We both helped. No, you didn't. You weren't even in the car. I don't know you. She doesn't go here.
Are you even in this class?
Are you in this class? What are you doing here?
Are we even in the same grade? Like,
yeah, no. Only children have zero chill.
Oh, God.
We've spent our whole lives never having to have chill, and we don't. We have negative chill to give.
That was so funny.
Okay, Tokyo Pop, we see you.
Yeah, we do.
Acknowledge you. If you fuck us over again, I will throw a tomato at your building.
Yeah.
Just one.
I'm just, we all know. Like
I said, if you know, you know. We're not here to rehash that drama.
Right.
We do have other drama to rehash.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. The last thing I'll say about the box is I really liked the stuff that's in it.
I do too.
I was like, that's so cool. Like I don't know what I was expecting. Like I said, the box looked a little bit sickly, but when I opened it, I was like, oh my gosh. Like,
you know what? I'm
this.
so glad you said that, because like I got the box too and I was like, she okay?
Right. Because I'm
used to some dummy thick boxes from y'all.
Yes.
And this one's looking a little this one's only looking thick with one C, not three C's.
Right. But no, I was pleasantly surprised. And again, like I really liked the art style, and I love the little art, like the print thingy or whatever. Like I'm definitely gonna find somewhere to put it up on the wall. Hopefully I end up liking it, because that would suck if I don't like the story and I'm like, I fucking hate this. But no, it was cool. We'd like to say thank you to our sponsor, Rotten Blossoms, an LGBTQ plus positive publishing company focused on localizing Japanese BL doujinshi for the Western market. They work to ensure that the final product we English-speaking fans receive reflects what the artist intended. Uncensored works are the artist's original drawings, and they use the same printers and settings that the artist used. Best of all, the artist earns a percentage of each sale that is based on the retail price. This means that even when they're running a sale, the artist's cut stays the same. We love to see it.
So what's today's topic, Aisha?
Oh, so we will be talking about how to actually have discourse on the internet. I guess specifically on the internet, which is where we have most of our
Yeah, which is
Discourse.
where these two goblins live.
Yeah.
This is our house. This is the home we live in.
Yes.
So this was something that has been on the list for a while, but was accelerated because of circumstances that we'll get to shortly.
Yes.
Let's go over some vocabulary first really fast.
Yes.
So, discourse is a discussion typically about a topic with opposing to varying degree sides. Now, opposing, I say to varying degrees because, like, if you've heard Aisha and I talk, a lot of times we're both pretty centrist.
Yeah.
But just on slightly different edges of centrist. So, and I say this in models, not like in politics. Because politics, I think we're both pretty much raging liberals.
Like, I'm so left.
To the left.
like
that
centrist
Beyonce
where.
song. Right. Like, an argument is a heated discussion in which neither side can often come to a satisfactory conclusion. You see that a lot on internet discourse and internet discussions. Like, oh, they are argumentative. That's a code switch, usually to tell black people to be quiet.
Y'all can't, if you're only listening to this, you didn't just see my face. But if you're watching this, you saw it. And
you felt it in your
black
bones, didn't
women.
you? Oh my!
Especially black women. Don't be a black woman on the internet and
have opinions and word them strongly, because then you're argumentative, you're combative, you're aggressive. You don't want to be any of those things. In unison, just unison tired. Harassment is being a dick online because you didn't get your way.
Yep.
There's no other way to put it. Like, there's such, I'm not even going to say a fine line, because it's a pretty obvious line of you are wrong and you're continuing to be wrong very loudly. So I wanted to go over that vocabulary first, because you'll see a lot of those words interchanged. Like, you'll sometimes see when people are trying to have a conversation, you're harassing me. No, I'm not. I had a counter argument.
Yeah.
Or, you're being argumentative. No, I used language effectively.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So, I know. So I wanted to get those vocabulary words out of the way, because you will see with people who are, let's be frank, not as good at discourse, use these things sort of all wrapped up together. Where it's like, I'm being harassed by this person. This person isn't harassing you. They're challenged your argument.
Right.
This person.
They're not.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, they're not up in your DMs.
Right.
Let me not.
I know.
We're going to get there.
We're going to get there. We're going to get there.
Okay.
We're going to get there. So, I want to take this from Aisha's perspective, because I know what I did. And the internet knows what I did. I want to hear this from you, because that is what made me feel bad.
Oh, gosh. So, okay, first of all, we have to, I think most of y'all, well, you could be new if you're listening to this. I don't know.
You could be. Yes.
Anyway, we have a Twitter account, and Amanda is the main person who runs, like, she's the one who mainly runs it, because I cannot be trusted to be consistent.
Because Aisha gets tired.
Online. Like, I will go away from the internet for, like, days at a time, sometimes weeks, and then come back and be like, oh, hey, what happened? So, like, anyway, so I get a text from Amanda saying, oh, yeah, I got in a Twitter fight. And me, like, I was not thinking anything, like, for real. Because sometimes Amanda will say, oh, I got into this, like, this conversation. And then I'll look and I'm like, that's not even, like, it could have gone way, harder. Like, this is fine. So that's kind of what I thought. And so when I looked and I saw it, I was like, oh, shit. And now let me say that what Amanda said, I want to say this publicly.
Please.
I do not at all disagree with what you said.
Thank you.
I read what you said.
Thank you.
And I was like, I agree with this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand what is wrong with this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But what freaked me out was the response
Yes.
from the people who the response from the people, or person, whatever, whoever it was that you quote
Multiple
tweeted,
peoples.
and then their little little friends or whatever.
Yeah.
It was, I was taken aback
Mm-hmm.
because it was very much like they were, okay, for those of y'all who missed the tweet, all Amanda said was that I'm putting it in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
Grown folks don't want you kids in grown folk stuff. Like,
Right.
if we are putting out content and we're saying this is for adults,
Mm-hmm.
just, you kids, like, it's not our responsibility to protect you from that. Like, that's just, we're letting you know this is not for you.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want you here. So if you choose to come in here,
Mm-hmm.
that's on you. Because I guess, like, the comment,
So
the original tweet.
sorry. So the original tweet was about saying, just because like the older generation of fans is so desensitized to problematic content doesn't mean that they don't have to be considerate to younger fans.
Right.
To which I then responded, I quote tweeted saying like, "Hey, I get where you're coming from, but like you're literally in an adult space." And then I followed it up with something that I shouldn't have, which was literally no one wants you here.
I mean, but that's fair. That's some shit I would say.
I mean, we're both old women, but like in all fairness, if I really had to like go back and repent, I wouldn't have done that just because like it was unnecessarily flippant.
Okay.
But like it summed up what I was feeling. It's like, because at least that was how I've always felt in this space, is that if I'm a child in an adult space, I don't get to police adults.
Right.
But
yeah.
Please continue about the vitriol.
Yeah. So like I said, I fully agreed with what you said. I was shocked at the responses. I was taken aback. As I was reading them, I became more and more uncomfortable because they were like, they started like, it wasn't even that they were arguing, like, not arguing. It wasn't that they were even trying to have discourse. They were literally like, telling us that, people who are like fujoshis, or what is it, like, it's rich coming from some fujoshi, and just like women who fetishize gay men shouldn't be talking about this. Just like all the stuff. I'm pretty sure that like there was some bitch call, like people were like saying like, you like something bitch, like just just calling people outside their names. Bitch. And
our next t-shirt.
I even saw there's a DM that it was in the like
requests.
The request, I deleted it because I kept looking at it, but cause it was like, being a fujoshi isn't something to be proud of. I didn't read the rest of it. I just deleted it.
I didn't even see that. So good job on taking care of that for me.
Yeah, like it was people were like in the DMs, like trying. It was just, I was like, what the fuck? So I texted Amanda and I was like, hey, I don't like this, because I was just like, that was for me the first time ever in my time on the internet, which has arguably been relatively short, but even when I had Skinny Girl Fat Hair, which was my lifestyle like channel, like I did not get like hate,
right?
And I know that like realistically, like I know that it wasn't directed at it wasn't really directed at us as individual people, because they don't know us. It was directed at the Yaoi Shelf,
yes,
like at the brand or whatever. But I couldn't separate that.
No, and what was so amazing about that is that we had just recorded our episode on Fujo hate.
Yes.
Like this happens like
and
right
I was talking
after.
about how and I was all like, I haven't experienced it myself, but I know it exists. And then that happened.
I brought it into the house.
What the fuck?
I dragged it into the house.
It was wild. And then like I even went to other because like I went down the rabbit hole of like going to other people's responses and stuff, and like reading all of it, and I shouldn't have done it.
You shouldn't have.
No.
So Aisha texts me saying, hey, I really don't like this. And I asked, like, do you want me to delete it? And then Aisha does the worst thing to do to someone with anxiety, which is go on a fucking walk and leave your phone.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I did.
This hoe leaves me stewing in punishment because I feel bad. I know both of us have anxiety. I know both of us are image conscious. I just have a big enough dick that I don't care. So I'm over here concerned about Aisha's mental health. And this hoe, this skinny ass hoe over here, goes for a walk and leaves her phone.
I did.
I'm having a full conversation with myself in our text messages.
Oh. You know what's funny is that, like, so, because,
yes.
As we were texting or whatever, I had told Matt, I was like, oh my gosh. So Matt knew about it, and he saw, like, I did not expect to be affected by that as much as I was.
Right.
And so he could tell that I was upset and, like, didn't know what to do. And I was telling him, I was like, I don't know what to do because, like, on the one hand, I was like, I don't disagree with her. I was like, I don't disagree with her. But I was like, but dang it, I wish that, like, this didn't happen. And I was like, I don't know what to say. I'm freaking it. So he was like, do you want to go for a walk? And I was like, yeah, that'd be good. Because I didn't want to respond to you, you know, in that state of, like, yes. And I didn't want to immediately say, yes, delete it. Because I wanted to make sure, I don't know. I just wanted to make sure that I remembered, because, you know, in the past, I have been very, you know, quick to, like, go with my, like, how I feel immediately at that moment and then come to you with some bullshit. So
that's the politest way to put it, but yes.
Yeah. And so I was like, let me not do that. Let me just go. But I was like, I'm not going to take my phone because I'll be tempted to respond. Didn't even think about, oh, poor Amanda sitting there like.
Just sitting here, just anxious.
I should have just texted you and said,
I don't know what Aisha wants. I feel terrible because I'm willing to poke a bear and say, come at me, YOLO.
Yeah.
But I feel bad because now I've drug Aisha into this. It's affecting her in a way that I couldn't have foreseen. Because like I said, I don't care. My dick is bigger than yours.
In hindsight, and for the future, I know now, like, instead of just going, I should have just texted you and said, hey, I don't know yet.
Do what you think is best.
Like, let me have,
or like exactly
a minute, whatever. Or just do what you think is best. Like something like that. Yeah, like I should have at least let you know
that you were leaving your phone.
Yeah,
I'm just over here in just Panic City. Just like I've fucked everything up.
Oh God, she's gonna.
I have ruined everything. Like. The podcast is over because I was a little shit. Oh. So eventually I deleted the tweet. I blocked and muted everyone who was a shithead. There was like one comment that I straggled onto because someone was talking about fetishizing gay men. And I'm still exhausted about it. And I'm still fucking exhausted about it. But one thing did become very abundantly clear while we were going through these comments was that these bitches really thought they were saying something, didn't they?
They, you know, they really did.
They really thought they were saying something, didn't they?
They, you know, what was the most frustrating for me was that the things they were saying had nothing to do with the actual
tweet,
with the actual conversation.
Right.
Like they immediately went to, well, your opinion is invalid because you like Fujos. Yeah. And it's like that is not
an argument.
It's not an argument. It's not a rebuttal. It's not a response.
Right.
It's not a valid response. Like, okay, you don't like that we're Fujos, but what does that have to do with us saying that you don't need to be in adult spaces, and if you're going to be in adult spaces, be quiet about it.
Like,
which is not exactly what Amanda said.
No,
but I
was on the debate team. I couldn't say, "Oh, you like the Cowboys, therefore your argument's invalid."
Right.
That would never fly. It should, because you shouldn't like the Cowboys. But like that was one thing that became consistently obvious to us was that these kids, and we're saying kids pejoratively because we don't know how old these fuckers are. We're assuming they're younger than us because they clearly have nothing better to do.
Also because of the for real, but also because of the initial tweet.
Because of the initial tweet.
Very much, very much
like
oh, minor.
They really thought they were saying something. They really. So because of that, I wanted to go over a few of the points that they made, and we're gonna do this in the form of a Socratic dialogue, which is mostly just two pretentious people talking. Hello, Aisha.
Well, you just low key though.
Let
me just be honest.
Let's be real here. So we're gonna do this in the form of a Socratic dialogue because Amanda went to college and is constantly trying to rationalize that.
Oh gosh.
Every night my degree stares at me.
You know what? Make use of it. You may as well. You put in the time and the money.
I sure did. I have my cords above my bed. I have my tassels, everything.
As you should.
Amen. So we're going to go over a few of the points that were made. We're not going to go over all of them because we'd be here all night. And as much as I love Aisha,
you do have pneumonia.
I do. Let's start with the first major point that we saw repeated. Yaoi/BL fetishizes gay men.
Yeah.
Now, I've had conversations with Aisha outside of this podcast.
Yes.
Which you may be able to tell.
Yes.
And the words that I said to Aisha about this sentence were, I have analyzed every part of this sentence, and none of these words in combination make sense to me.
You have said this. Exactly, yeah.
Let's just break it down. Yaoi fetishizes gay men. So let's start with the main part, Yaoi BL, which we're assuming is the fictional Japanese media that is usually depicted around the tropes of homosexuality and homoeroticism.
Yes.
Okay. Fetishizes, as in improperly displays or misrepresents or je ne sais quoi.
Yeah,
we'll put a pin in fetishizes.
Sure.
Gay men, insert fictional characters? Question mark? So if we just do that, I don't see a problem.
It's okay.
Please.
Something that I like the word, when people throw out the word fetish, that is it makes my butthole pucker a little bit, because I don't know. I understand what people are trying to say when they use the word fetishize or whatever, but I don't know that some people understand that a fetish is something that a person needs in order to get off during sex. Typically,
so counter. There is a secondary verb use of fetishize. It is to have an excessive or irrational commitment or obsession of.
Okay.
So you'll see that a lot in writer spaces. You'll have writers who will fetishize a thing.
Okay.
So I think they're more using that alternate use of being more obsessive about it, rather than the sexual aspect of it.
Okay.
But even if you're doing that,
I'll give them that.
Okay, so we're obsessing over gay men.
But I'm not.
One, we're not. And then two, is that bad? Should we not like gay men?
Right. And you know what?
Are you saying homophobia is the answer?
Right. Well, and then also, okay, so, and I think this is something else that I always go back to.
By all means.
And I've talked about this before, that I see yaoi similarly to how I see, just to me, it's romance.
It's romance.
Yaoi is a romance. The genre is romance, and it just happens to be centered around characters who are gay, or gay men specifically, and I don't understand why people are like, oh well, yaoi fetishizes gay men, but they don't say that, oh, hetero romance fetishizes
perpetually wet women.
Like, I mean, like, no one is saying like, oh, insert let me think of one of my, oh, no one is sitting here saying like, oh, everyone's getting married, which is one of my favorite like josei romances. Everyone's getting married fetishizes straight couples, straight people. Like, no one says that because that's, first
true.
of all, we know that these are fictional characters,
right?
And also, I think that this idea, and maybe I'm wrong, you can tell me.
I will.
Tell me if my train of thought is wrong.
I will.
So for me, it goes back to this. It goes back to homophobia. Like, I feel like a lot of these people who think they're saying something like, oh, it's fetish. It's almost like, well, do you not see like gay couples as normal?
So,
like,
okay. I think where you're going is wrong, but I think where you're going is right, but the conclusion is wrong. Okay, I think a lot of it is queer or queer alike people who are very concerned about what media does for representation, to the extent that sometimes they go too hard.
Okay.
Because I know I've had in a lot of queer spaces where if anything looks like an aberration or a deviation, because we are still a persecuted people in many ways,
right,
that it has to be nipped in the bud. And I will say, as a Fujo, the thing that we've been saying since episode 1, don't look to yaoi for representation.
Yes.
So if you're doing that and you're basing and saying that this is bad representation for queer people, sure it is. Just like fucking Inuyasha's bad representation for demons.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Wait, not demons. I thought you were gonna say for like schoolgirls or something.
No,
like
Kagume's fine. It's bad representation for demons. Like, don't look to this stuff. Like, this isn't your As Told by Ginger. This isn't your show. Wow, I went way back. As Told by Ginger. Like, this isn't meant to be like your coming of age Bildungsroman of like real factual factiveness.
Right.
It's fluffy porn.
Yes.
Just enjoy it.
Yeah, it's the same thing that I've said about just the romance genre in general.
Right.
Tends to not be so. I've said this so many times. Like, please don't look to most romance stories for representation.
And that doesn't
like,
mean that you can't find yourself. Because I have found myself in a lot of BL characters.
Of course.
That means I have trauma.
Yeah.
That means I have problems. But, you know, like, again, I think what is trying to be said is something. How it is said is utter bullshit.
Yeah. Well, and also, too, I think that a big thing that frustrates me is this whole fetishizes gay men. But, like, I will say that in my everyday real life, like, I'm not going around to gay men talking about, hey, kiss in front of me. Like, I don't know. It just feels
now kiss.
Like, yeah.
Okay, so like that's something that we disagree on a little bit because so like where I think that is weird and fetishizes gay men, or is like when you ship real people.
Yeah.
Like people who will ship like YouTubers and stuff like that. Like that I think is like weird and gross, and I'm not usually okay with that.
Yeah,
but, like,
we've
had this talk. We found out you were a wolf fucker also.
Yeah.
but like that's an opinion that I hold, just me personally. But like if we're still in the realm of fictional characters, I don't know when we forgot that fiction was fiction.
Yes.
I'd love to do like an ethnographic study of when we forgot that fiction's not real.
Right. Oh,
because it's not real. And I don't think that there's any gay couple that I know that has based their life around a Fumiyoshi Naga novel.
No.
There's no wild Fujoshis demanding that real men kiss each other outside of a convention.
Like,
because convention rules make everything whatever.
I don't, it's so, like, I don't understand how, it's like, okay, and this is so, I mean, we all know that I like a lot of different manga, different genres and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There are some things that I really do. Okay. Oh, this is a good example. This is the best example. I have a weird love for NTR.
You do love NTR, Naturare.
Yeah, and a lot of people do not like it. I really enjoy it. Now, I am not a cheater, and I have I don't want that in my real life.
But in fiction, it's really exciting.
In fiction, one of my favorite hentai is called Another's Wife.
I've read that one.
It has a lot of things that I really enjoy reading, but I'm not going around and doing these things in my real life,
right?
Because I understand that there's fiction and there's reality,
and that escapism is what made yaoi so cool for a lot of people.
Yes.
It is kind of a safe place to think oh, hey, I like this kink. This is a bad representation of it, but let's do some research and try it later.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know when we stopped realizing that fiction's fiction, and that really kind of scares me a little bit when it comes to media. Just because, we're starting to see this really puritanical conversations around characters that are just they're not real.
Right.
Their actions aren't real. And more importantly, none of us are doing this.
Right.
No one's out with fucking a manga using it as a rape book to go do bad gay shit.
It's how to be a disgusting human being.
Right.
And then going
the Klaus
out
von Wolfstadt story. No one's doing that. So
somebody might be.
Okay, but that's
it's a very small.
There was a guy in Belgium who did actual murders based on Death Note.
Right.
We didn't ban Death Note.
Sure, exactly.
We just ignored that one Belgian guy.
Whew. Don't even get me started on how many usually male, but also some females too, some mangaka who are actually out here doing some,
who are wildin'. Who are
doing some things,
who are
and
just
yet,
fucking wildin'.
Right, and I'm just it's interesting how. Well, no, and I think that the people that we're talking about probably are not the same people who are standing up for these other manga, but they could be.
They're probably not.
But probably
they're probably not connected enough to do that.
Right, probably not. But I just most people are not out here doing weird things.
And if they are, they're wrong, and it has nothing to do with the fiction.
And exactly.
We all have personal accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know when I was in school, when I had to defend my anime club, it was because of the acts of people that were bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to constantly defend. Because at the end of the day, you can have 5 people read one thing. And if one person does a bad, it doesn't mean the other 4 people are wrong.
Right.
Now, if a lot of people do a bad, then yes, sometimes it's good to reevaluate. I'm still wearing Hetalia merch, even though the Hetalia fandom is bad.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, too many of them have done a bad.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Which includes, it is not limited to, going to concentration camps in costume.
I my brain can't even process that. That's just.
But and the thing is, that's not a fandom thing to me. You're just a weird person. You found the one most convenient excuse. An anime about countries as people, and you were able to find a loophole.
You know what?
Because real talk, I don't know anyone who just does that because.
You know what? This just popped into my head.
Mm-hmm.
I think because taking it back to BL,
yes.
to fetishizing gay men.
Yes.
Anyone who is actually fetishizing real life gay men,
they already had that problem.
They were already doing it before they started reading yaoi, and they saw yaoi, and they're like, oh, this is cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
no, 100%. That darkness already existed in their hearts.
They already were doing it.
Right.
Because that's not where I came from. I came from the perspective of like, I love romance.
Yeah.
And I'm queer, I'm bi, you know, and all these things. And I do, like, I've spent, and I hate being that person. I've got gay friends, but like, it's
You're looking at one of them.
right. Well, and it's like, I mean, you can ask Matt too. Like, the majority of my friends are queer, you know, of some sort. Like,
Right.
I hang out with very few straight people. Straight people
are boring.
I'm picky with my straight people.
Did you see that one like birth announcement that was like, it was like ingredient list, and it's like with some help from daddy, and it's like,
I hate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, I mean, as some, like, I've seen so many different forms of love and relationships in my real life that I also, it's opened me up to, you know, wanting to explore that in fiction as well.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, so when I don't read BL specifically because I'm like, ooh, I want to read. It's like, oh, here's another type of romance.
Right.
And I like this. And, you know, I don't know, like, I don't see it as some like creepy. I'm not reading it just because it's BL. I'm reading it because I like romance.
Right.
And it's another, you know, I like seeing people
in love.
In love, yeah, even fictional people. And it's even more fun when it's fictional because then there's stuff that you can like really, it's just things that you can see
There's
that
no
you wouldn't see in real life. Yeah, like
so I think that's argument one.
Yes.
Again, I feel like it's rooted in something that's very real, but it's executed in a way that's just utter bullshit. Like, I do think it's rooted in something real, and if the concern is,
yeah,
you know, like not having good representation of queer couples or whatever, that's a valid point, not in this space.
Right.
So, point 2, adults should make the internet safe for minors. I'm not your mom or your dad, am I?
Unless
I am.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Hi.
But unless I am.
Right, unless like your actual children are listening.
Which honestly, one of them could be.
Yeah, I know.
So.
In which case, yes. But like, I don't get this argument because I know when I was a young smut connoisseur and smut writer back in the olden days, there was a very clear understanding that what we were doing was wrong. We were not supposed to be here. It was Adult Swim, and we were sneaking in. And because of that, there was a very clear delineation that made us understand that any comment we had should die in the back of our throats. Because this was not our house. We are in an adult's house. And we get to peek in through the curtain and see some shit that we should not have been seeing. And I'm acknowledging that. But we would never step into an adult's house, look at what they're doing, and tell them that they're wrong.
I like this. And I like this analogy.
That's not what we were here for. We were guests. We were illegal guests. We were guests that snuck in the carpet.
Right.
in a rolled up vase of some kind.
Right.
We weren't going to say shit.
Right.
Even if we saw some hateful fucking ripped a guy's arm off and fisted another guy with it. Even if we saw some hateful shit back in the day. And I know we did. We didn't say anything. We were guests in this house. Because most of these sites were 18 plus. They were 17 plus. This was not for us. Right. It was never aimed at us. We weren't supposed to be there. And by being there, we were privileged. And we shut the fuck up.
Right.
And we just sat and enjoyed. Or you became a little bit traumatized. But that onus was on you. Because, and we've had this conversation multiple times, I don't know what part of the internet these kids are on where it's holding you hostage. Because I read smut threads all night to go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things that I don't like.
Right.
Keep
and I just
scrolling. Go. Be free.
Yep.
It just I don't have to say anything.
It's so frustrating because like I've seen this argument like, oh well it was like specifically on Twitter.
Yes.
Oh well, the age to sign up is 13, and it's like, okay, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, for me and my page, it is, I have my age there. I make it clear that I do not make like, just me as an individual, we don't, and then us together as the Yaoi Shelf, we say we do not make content for kids. We are clear that we make content that we talk about content that is 18 plus. We are 18 plus. We're 30 plus.
Okay, rude. Okay, rude.
But you know, like we even the way we speak, the type of things that, like, it is very obvious that we are catering to an adult audience, or at least a perceived adult audience. Now, we cannot control if someone lies about their age to like try to sneak in or whatever. All we can do is say, hey, we're making it clear this is not for people under the age of 18, because we don't want to get in trouble and get accused of like forcing, you know, like showing things to minors that they, you know, shouldn't see, when we're not doing that. We again are catering to adults. So it's just very frustrating when these kids get on here on a platform that is made for people, a wide range of people, that is used by a wide range of people, and then they want to yell at us for making content for a certain age group.
Or
and then
real talk, put that energy at yelling at Twitter Nazis. Like, there's actual white supremacists on that platform. A lot of them. I don't see them saying anything about that.
Like, why are you yelling?
Why are you yelling at two 30-year-old black women who like gay men? Like, what are you... Like, there are actual Nazis on Twitter. A lot of them.
It's just,
where's that energy going?
It's so weird. And then also, like, okay, like, going back to the whole, like, adults should make the internet safe for minors. Like what you said, that's what your parents are the adults that should be making it safe. Do your parents know that you are sliding into DMs of grown-ass people and trying to... Do your
parents know who you're yelling at?
Right. Do your parents know that
I'll call your parents
harassing grown-ass people?
Oh, I will call your parents.
Like, that's what I don't get. It's like, you know, and I'm very much like, you know, I try not to talk, like, I try to make sure that I'm not talking to anybody under the age of, if it were up to me, I wouldn't talk to anybody under the age of, like...
27.
Well, okay, I make some exceptions. 21, I guess, like, because I have a lot of 21-year-old followers, and I'm like, fair. Okay, and I do really appreciate them. At least they're adults. Yeah. But, like, you know, it's just...
And, like,
it's
such a funny thing, because, like, I deal with that as a panelist a lot. That, like, it's like, if I'm at a convention that I know is more geared towards, like, families and children, I will have more family-friendly panels, and I'll actively swear less. I will do my best to, like, not be as revealing or make less gross jokes. Yeah. But if it's, like, 11 o'clock and it's just me, fuck, 18 plus, we're swearing and talking about that one time that I did that one thing in one hotel bathroom.
Right. Well, and you know what, though, too? In person, when you're at a panel, you can see, for the most part, like, I know that some people, it's hard to look at them and tell their age, but you can see when a kid is.
Yeah, I can see when there's a flock of fucking children.
Yes. Whereas online, Whereas online,
I can't tell.
Whereas online, sorry, what the fuck is that? Oh my gosh, what is that? Anyway.
Oh my god. Asia over here preening.
Oh my gosh. But online, first of all, a lot of these kids don't be putting their ages in their profiles.
Because they know they're wrong.
because they know that they're
'Cause they
wrong.
know they're wrong.
They're probably under the age of 13 even.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them, you know, they don't put their ages. And so it's like, how was I supposed to know that you're a minor if you don't even have your, like, I can't see, they don't have their actual
like
pictures.
there's a smut artist that I follow. Like, she said that, like, they said that they got a DM from someone's like, ha, I made it to your page and I'm 13. Like, why would you do this? Why would you
Listen,
Why the fuck would you do this?
okay. I have a very, like, loyal follower, and I do appreciate her so much. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
But, I didn't know her age for a long time, because I don't, I'm not like you.
Stages, yeah.
I don't really ask or whatever, but like after doing so many lives and stuff, and you know, they like people got comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
We basically found out that she is very young. She's like maybe a year older than my oldest. And when I found that, like when I realized that, because she told on herself basically, because she was like, oh yeah, like my birthday is like just a couple of days away from your son's birthday, but like a year before. And I was just like, so now I know how old you are, and so now I know to actively, like, you know, make, which it kind of scared me, because it's like, wait a minute, because she let me know, she's like, yeah, I have multiple accounts, I like, and I'm just like, oh my god, so like I don't know, like if I'm talking about smut, she could be in here under a different account, you know. And it's like, in some ways, I know that she thinks it's like funny or whatever, but part of me is like, listen, like I could get in trouble,
right?
You know. And so there's like this kind of thing, and that's what I think a lot of these kids don't realize. It's like, most adults, unless they're creepy, are not checking for kids, because we don't, regardless of like any like moral or personal whatever, I don't want to get put under the jail because you decided to like come in here to my space.
That's such a Southern black thing, under the jail. Because my grandma would say that. That is such a particularly Southern black thing. Not in jail, under the jail.
Put under the jail.
Like, so like, I'll even say this as a content creator, as someone who writes smut. Mm-hmm. I am assuming my audience is me.
Right.
Or at least me adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not writing for you, horny child.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if I was, well, I mean, I wouldn't be, but like, if I was writing for a teen audience, I wouldn't do that.
Right.
So
I
like,
would make it more
I would make it for
appropriate.
Teens.
Yeah.
Because I know there's the novelist John Green, who writes a lot of like young adult fiction.
Mm-hmm.
He gets in trouble for this sometimes, because he'll like try to throw not like a sexy scene, but like a teens exploring each other scene, and it's like, you're a cishet white man, like this is gross.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think he's gross, but like anyone who makes that argument, I kind of don't disagree with them,
because it's like, what?
Because I think that's a little gross. You didn't have to do that.
Mm.
You didn't. You're a 40-year-old.
I mean, I have opinions on YA.
Right.
I have. Yeah.
We know.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, like I don't think that he's trying to be gross. But if someone said, "Hey, I think that's gross," but
yeah.
like at least like for me, like I'm writing, assuming that like my audience is Aisha and like our friends.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I'm assuming, what my audience is.
Yes.
Which is who I'm assuming is reading my work, is Aisha and our friends.
Yes. And so it's very like,
it's so weird. And I don't know, and again, like I don't know when that changed, because like I have the benefit of, I was in your shoes once, child, on the internet. Mm-hmm. And I don't know when it shifted to you feeling entitled to anything.
Right. Yeah,
I don't know when that happened. Again, ethnographic study. I'd love to figure it out, because I know when I was lurking on Quizilla, when I was on Zanga, when I was on fucking fanfiction.net, 1,000 years old, you know, DeviantArt.
Oof.
And if I was underage and I clicked the armor turn to go see that horny picture of whatever fucking 2000s character I wanted to jerk off to.
Mm-hmm.
I was waiving my rights.
Yes.
I essentially, because, you know, everyone has that YouTube account that they can't get rid of, where you're older than you really are. I have mine.
I will say that I don't, just because I was already grown when YouTube when YouTube started. I was already an adult.
I wasn't. So I have a YouTube account that, like, I think I'm like 35 on it now or something like that, because I just aged up to whatever I needed to be to have the account.
Right.
And I can't change it because it's like, happy birthday. It's like, that's not my birthday. We're not going to acknowledge this. But, like, I acknowledge that by doing that, I was waiving my rights.
Mm-hmm.
And that whatever I saw, be it traumatizing or desensitizing or whatever, like Poncho's Mexican buffet, I had raised the flag.
Wait.
What? Poncho's Mexican buffet?
You just took me back.
I fucking love Poncho's Mexican buffet.
Oh, no, I just, listen, don't even get me started. Matt and I have these conversations all the time because I actually, as a kid, I grew up going to Poncho's.
Okay,
like, that was the place.
We probably need to explain what Poncho's Mexican buffet is.
Oh.
Because I don't think they exist, and two,
they don't exist
old.
anymore. Yeah, because there was one in Oklahoma City that was open it stayed open for a long time. It was the one that I grew up going to, and it closed. It's been some years.
Oh my God. No, it's not the same thing. I got really excited. I thought there was a Poncho still open here.
Oh.
It's not the same thing. I was about to get fucking lit. Things were about to get real fucking lit. There's one back home, and I'm going. So Poncho's Mexican buffet, think of like a Del Taco and a Taco Bell combined.
Yeah.
But like a Luby's.
Yeah. It's very much like, it is the cheapest Tex-Mex.
But it's a buffet. And it's all you can eat.
Yes.
And they throw sopapillas at you.
Yeah. The sopapillas were always
banging. Did you ever put ice cream in the middle?
No, actually, I never did.
I did all the time.
I never did. I never did. I never liked to mix my ice cream in the sopapillas.
Nope.
I don't.
You dig out that little hole and then gestures. There's your gift, guys. Okay. So our last point, and this is one that I saw right at the end before I deleted the tweet, is the well-being of children isn't discourse, because it came back to the whole, well, we don't want you here as children. You know what? You're right. It is not up for debate. But it's also not my fucking job. If the well-being of every child was on my plate, well, I'd already be dead.
Yeah, listen, as a mom, as a person who
has to take care of two children.
Exactly, who actually does have two children whose well-being I have to keep in mind. I can't make it my job to take care of everybody else's kids.
Yeah,
too.
That's not my job.
Now, that's not to say that I'm going to go out of my way to cause issues for kids.
Dang.
You know, like, I don't go out of my way to do that.
No.
Again, it goes back to our previous thing where it's like, we are making things with intent of it being consumed by adults.
Right.
If you watch our videos, like, we say, like, this is actually at the very beginning of our first season, we talked about this is a podcast for adults. We've made it clear that we are catering to 18 plus.
Yeah.
We make it clear everywhere.
Yeah.
So, like, we do our due diligence to, quote unquote, protect the children by saying, hey, guess what? This is not for children.
Right.
So
we signpost as much as we can everywhere, and we're lucky enough that our audience is mostly as we project, which is adult. Or if they are underage, they're chill and they know they just vibing. And we don't say anything. But like I said, like with panels, if I am setting up for a panel, well, most of my panels are 18 plus. Yeah. I almost always blanket to my panels are 18 plus because I know I'm going to swear. I know I'm going to, and I don't want the responsibility of like ruining some kid's life. Like I don't want that personal responsibility. But like there are some conventions that I go to that like I know are family friendly, and I know that, so I don't. So that's
Yep.
that's the best that I can do as a content creator, as a person, as a writer. But like, you know what? You're right. The well-being of children is not up for discussion. Right. But it's also not my job.
Right. Yeah. Like, I definitely want to see kids being safe.
Sure.
You know, like, I don't want to see like, as someone who was a kid once, like we all were, you know, and who has a lot of trauma. Roamed. Right.
But like, and I will say this also, as, again, like, having been that kid on the internet who has seen some shit, I don't think I've ever minced words when I've said, I don't wish that on anyone.
You've said that so many times.
I've said that so many fucking times. Like, I don't, I know. Right. And there are so many other like, little microaggressions in hindsight that I realize that fandom does that are really gross and terrible. And I, like, oh my God, straight men with their hentai Bibles and just throwing them out at people and, like, showing you. Or, like, bait slipping DVDs. Because I got that a lot when I was younger.
What?
Oh, yeah. They would, like, slip a hentai in. Because, you know, you think you're getting Inuyasha or whatever, and they'd give you a hentai. And it's like, oh, that's not what this is.
Oh, my God.
Like, that's bad. And I don't wish it on anyone. And I acknowledge that that's bad. And I would never knowingly do that.
Right.
But, like, at the same time, that isn't anyone else's job to police. There was no one outside of, I guess, like, Jesus or my aunt who could have stopped that.
Right.
And if I'm hiding this shit.
Right.
Right. And clearly Jesus was busy.
Right.
Clearly Jesus had some other stuff going on.
But that's the thing too. It's like yes, there are we all know that there are adults out there who are gross and creepy and who absolutely delight in like traumatizing kids.
There are.
Like, but on the internet and like
and in
outside
real life
of the internet, like everywhere. We understand that.
We do. We are not them. Leave us alone.
Exactly. It's just like it's so frustrating. It's very frustrating because yes, we acknowledge that those people exist.
Sure.
But it still is not. I would say that it's not the majority. I think it is so shocking because it's not the majority of adults. I think that the majority of adults either care about the well-being of kids or they just don't give a shit at all and they're just living their own life.
I think they're just living their own lives. Like, I think like that's the big thing. I think that's why I made the analogy like to an Adult Swim, which if that's a reference that goes over your head and you're thinking like the block on television. Back in the day in pools, there used to actually be like an Adult Swim. And it was usually like 7 to 10. I know like some cruise ships will do that because I have been on multiple cruises and it's very fun because I'm a bougie bad bitch. And they'll have like a time slotted off in the pool that's for adults only. Sometimes if you go to like, my favorite way of phrasing is like grown and sexy, which every Southern black person just, it's like the Lion King, they all turn. You know, you have your grown and sexy where it's like, because, you know, it's a pool, so there's families there, but there's usually like a block of time at night that's just for adults. And there's no children, no families. If you're there, you're usually having a drink, you're talking about adult things, blah, blah, blah. Now, if I'm a kid and I'm up, I don't know, it's a cruise ship, and I'm walking around and I hear some guy talking about sex, that's not on that guy.
Right.
That's on me for being up, wandering the boat at fucking 10 p.m., and my parents, well, my mom, adult, for letting me do this. Right. That's not that guy's fault. He's just living his life. He has his Jack and Coke. He in the pool. He found a girl. He's having a good time. It's like 10:30.
He's living his life.
He's living his life.
And then this little kid
he's on a pool, in a boat, on the ocean.
He's on a boat.
Right, like, he's having a grand old time. He has a fucking daiquiri, I guess. You know, just let him live.
Strawberry daiquiri.
You know, like, that's not, and if I happen to overhear, you know, because my first cruise was when I was 12. So this could have feasibly happened if my parents didn't love me. because 10 p.m. my ass was in bed. Oh,
Exactly.
so if I was white, I guess, and my parents didn't love me.
I'm leaving that in because it's the truth.
Right, because I cannot imagine a scenario where, because this was a family reunion cruise, where 12-year-old Amanda on a family reunion cruise is just walking the deck at 10. Because Lord knows I have cousins at that grown and sexy pool party, and I would get that lineup whooping. Yep. Where they all get out of the water, just, what are you doing here? 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 Just like 15 calls to my mom. But but in that scenario, if I hear these adults talking about this adult topic, that's not on those adults to police themselves.
Right.
As far as they're concerned, they're at Adult Swim. This is grown and sexy time. I'm just some random fucking kid who wanted the free midnight pizza. Because some cruises have that. You get free midnight pizza.
You're bougie ass.
I love cruises so much.
I've only been on one, and I did not enjoy it. I was 6 weeks pregnant, though. So.
I didn't enjoy Disney after my dad died.
I mean, I hate you so much right now. I can just see your face. Like, you know I can't laugh at that.
Yes, you can. I almost got kicked out for ruining the magic. Because I said all of the people in costume were pedophiles in costumes. Don't take a grieving teenager to Disney. Disney does not replace a dead parent.
So you were the kids on the internet talk about you pedophile.
Yeah, I was the demon in the internet. Yeah, don't take a grieving 12-year-old to Disney.
That's fair.
There's no amount of capitalism that replaces a dead parent.
That is true. We've also established that no amount of leggings can.
I mean, a good amount of leggings. A decent amount of leggings can as an adult. But like, if you ever needed proof history that I've always been that person.
Oh God.
Don't take grieving children to Disney. It's a bad idea. But like, yeah, I think that's the big thing is that like, again, I'd love to do that ethnographic study of when children thought they had rights. Because if you're in my yard and you're telling me how to clean my yard and you're fucking 16, who invited you?
Right.
No one asked for you to be here. Like, exactly. Like that's what I mean. Like, I regret how flippant I was by wording it that way. But it was like,
sure, I guess.
But like, no one asked your opinion. Like, I'm writing for like me and my 5 friends. I'm not writing for you.
Right.
And if you read my stuff, that's not on me. Like, should we go yell at Zane for us finding her novels?
Listen, or Eric Jerome Dickey, who rest in peace.
Should we go yell at fucking who was the lady who did 50 Shades of Grey? Who was her? Who was her? Wow, good job, Amanda. Good words.
I never read that. What's her name?
I'm not Googling 50 Shades of Grey because I don't want it in my search history. Because I got one 50 Shades of Grey ad once, and it was the worst thing I'd ever seen. And I had never been more angry at an ad before.
I have never I've never seen the movies or
I have read more
books.
of the books than I like admitting.
Yeah.
And I have never seen the movies. I know what Christian's helicopter is named.
It's named?
Charlie Tango.
That's weird. I will say that I don't like what the actors look like. That sounds really mean, but they're so like regular looking.
They are very regular looking.
They're not ugly people at all. Like they're
not
just
super
regular.
hot.
And I'm just like, if I like for my fictional people to be hot, and they are not.
But like we're not yelling at her for like if you own 50 Shades of Grey, and your kid pulls it off your bookshelf and reads it, and gets traumatized by bad writing.
Not by the.
It's mostly just by
the. Not by the
butt sex, by the bad writing.
But the writing.
If your child is traumatized by how every sentence Anastasia Steele is going to something at terminal velocity, which is not what terminal velocity means. You can't go to something at terminal velocity. I digress. Like, you're not going to go yell at the author of 50 Shades of Grey for that. That's on you for owning bad books.
Right. Like, it's like, imagine if I was mad at my kid, like, which, granted, okay, I do keep my hentai and stuff in my bedroom, and technically my kids aren't supposed to be up in here, but
that's never stopped them.
Growing up in a black family, like, I wasn't up in my mother's room like that. Like, absolutely not. I don't even think I could tell you what her room looked like. Just, like, I have no idea. To this day, I have no idea. But my kids especially the little one, he be up in here all the time. But, like, let's just, like, if he picked up one off of my shelf, like, I can't be, like, mad at him. You know, I mean, I can't be like, why did you? Because, I mean, I have it out.
Right.
You know? And I've never explicitly told him not to touch anything on my shelves.
And, like, actually, like, that's what got me to start doing yaoi shelves when I was at home. Because I had a younger cousin who was a shit. So, I mean, it's mine. I am of legal consenting age. He's 10 and an asshole. Right. So I'm at least going to put it higher on the shelf. That way, you know, if he can't... By the time he's gotten a stepladder, go read these men kissing. Like, by the time you have, like, a pair of tongs out, and, you know, you're trying to knock it over, you know what? Be free, kid. You know what? You have dedicated yourself to the bit. Knock yourself out.
Also, I will be honest and say, too, that I am not, like, when it comes to my own kids, I'm not one of those parents who's like, oh, my God, you can't, like, because I'm here all the time, so I can actually sit down and explain things to them. I can take, like, I have the luxury of being able to take the time, so if they did, you know, kind of accidentally come across something that, you know, might be traumatic, I can talk to them and be like, hey.
Also, real talk, if you ever want to make something tantalizing, say don't do it.
Tell them, exactly. And they're going to.
Because I think, like, that's, like, I would never hide my shit for that. It's like if I ever have children, it's staying on the shelf.
Right.
Because as soon as you make it taboo, it's going to be, challenge accepted.
Right. Which is probably why a lot of these kids be out here lying about their age. Because they want to participate. Now, again, I don't know if it's the same kids that are doing that are the ones that are making these arguments. Could be.
I think this sect might be a little bit older because, again, it's rooted in something real. Like I said earlier, I would never wish the experience I had on the internet to anyone. Because it was, I don't want to use the word traumatizing. It's fucking cartoons. Like, it's... Right. They're cartoons. But, like, yeah, like, there's definitely some things that I saw as a youth that I should not have seen.
Right.
But, like, that hasn't made me a murderer yet.
Right. Yet.
I mean, you gotta slide in that little yet. You never know. Oh, but, like, that didn't make me bad.
Right.
Other things made me bad. Like childhood trauma.
Right. Listen.
Right. Like, that wasn't gravitation's fault. That wasn't their fault.
Oh, Lord.
But, so yeah. The well-being of children is in discourse. You're right. It is not my job to protect the children. This is not one of those commercials about giving $1 to give rice to children in huts.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that also shows our age. Feed the children. Wasn't that what that was called?
Did you see the one where, like, it's like an outtake and one of the camera guys is, like, eating a granola bar? Just, like, in front of, like, the starving children.
No!
Yes.
That doesn't surprise me at fucking all,
though.
Jesus.
So, how do you think we got here as far as, like, discourse dissolving? I have 3 main points. One is pseudo-intellectualism. And that's something that we talked about a lot, I think, last episode, is that, like, these kids have all these words. Like, cultural appropriation and fetishization and, like, they just have all these words. And they think that if you put enough of them together, that you can word vomit your way to an argument. And you can't.
Nope.
You can't just string words together and hope desperately in that word salad that somewhere there is an argument. There isn't.
There really
isn't. And I think, I don't remember which episode it was, but it's like that Caesar Milan kind of thing, where like if you say, where if you say like, you're fetishizing gay men, at fetishizing I'm supposed to, and then just like fall over. Like, oh, I don't want to do that. It's bad. Like, I don't care. What are you talking about? Like,
right.
Like, I don't care. What the fuck are you talking about? So it's like, it's saying these words, and you really think that if you put them all together and you toss them around, you're gonna get an argument.
That it's gonna shut down the
And it's like, no, you said stupid. Words bad. Lord. The next, I think, is an unwillingness to compromise and listen. And that honestly goes on both sides. Because, like, real talk.
Yeah.
I could have listened to those children. I didn't.
I mean. But they weren't. The problem is
they weren't nice.
They weren't saying anything other than, you Fujo. Like, they weren't even.
They weren't. One, they weren't saying anything. And two, they weren't nice. Like, why am I going to listen to you? But, like, the thing about Discourse is that, like, a lot of it is rooted in not agreeing. But still having a healthy level of respect to understand the points you made. That's why you have shipping manifestos. That's why you go to war. That's why you do these things as fans. It's rooted in that you probably don't agree with that person.
Right.
But you respect the effort they put in to showing their point. Like, oh my God, shipping manifestos are all about that. Here's this pairing that I think is canon and true. Here's 5,000 fucking words about it. And even if you don't agree, you reach the end like, oh shit. They did something. Like, even if I don't see it, this person does. And I gotta let them go.
Right.
So it's just an unwillingness to, like, you've rooted yourself in this point so much. And you just aren't listening. And it's not a good place to be for anyone. Frankly, that's how we got Trump as president. I'm just going to go ahead and say it.
Oof.
Sorry.
Oof.
It's not being willing to listen. I've made a point, I will die on this hill, unironically, and not being willing to hear other people's sides. Now, I will say that there is a difference between not being willing to listen and things not being up for discussion. So, like, I have that as a bit of an SJW, where it's like, I just want to talk about women's rights. No. There's no discussion on women's rights. The discussion is, yes, we need them.
Right. We're not going to discuss about that.
It's like, I want to talk about trans rights. No. Unless the talk ends, yes, we need them.
Right. Yeah, I know. Yes.
I would like to discuss, issues with African Americans. Unless the sentence ends in, there are issues that we need to fix, period. I don't want to have a conversation with you.
Right.
Now, we're talking about backwards facing comics about boys that do butt stuff.
Right.
We can discourse about this. But if you're using that logic on cartoons, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'll get that sometimes. Oh, you see that all the time, like, in a right-wing Discord spaces where it's like, the left won't debate with us. Yeah, don't
what are we debating?
Yeah, what are we debating? Trans rights?
Right.
That's not a debate. That's not a conversation.
Absolutely not. Like, why? Ooh.
I love seeing that. It's like, why won't the left debate us on gay people?
Because it's like...
It's not a conversation.
Because they're human beings and... they're not doing anything to you. Like, they're just trying to live their damn lives.
Oh my God.
The fuck?
I love that so much because it's such like a key part of like right-wing talk. It's just like, the left won't talk about these issues. It's like, that issue is a trans person.
Like, that's not something to talk about. They deserve to live. Like, they deserve to live their life. Like, what?
They just want to go to the bathroom. That's all they want.
It's like, what is there to argue about with this?
If you're using that logic with this, I'm sorry, you have too much time on your hands. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. The last one is misplaced causes and passions. And I think like that goes in sort of what I said first, which is I think a lot of these people are, a lot of them are queer. A lot of them are young and queer.
Okay.
And they have all of this vocabulary that we didn't have back in the day because books. Because books. I became Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. Women shouldn't.
Well, they have all of this information because people in our age range, our generation, were the ones who wrote those books and said, "Hey, here is my
and we're writing on
and we
Tumblr
don't want you to
and
have
on AO3 and on Zanga." Yeah,
and we don't want y'all to have to go through the struggle. So what they really need to be doing is, at the very least, giving credit where credit is due.
Right.
Like, that's a whole other conversation.
But
anyway.
a lot of it is just rooted in a misplaced desire to either protect or defend.
Right, which is, yes.
I'm using air quotes if you're listening to audio only. I get that.
Right.
Because I know there's some media for me that I get really protective over because I don't like it when it leaches into the mainstream media because it oftentimes gets misconstrued. So my example of that is RuPaul's Drag Race. RuPaul's Drag Race went from being something that was exclusively watched by queer people, mostly queer people of color. And it was like a key between a bunch of just queer people of color. That it was a secret language we all understood.
Yes.
And then it got really, really mainstream popular.
Yes.
And then every Becky, Heather, Cynthia got into it. And then the children arrived, which I still don't understand. Don't bring your kids to Drag Con.
People do that?
There's so many children at Drag Con. And then they get mad when drag queens like, this drag queen was vulgar. It's a drag queen! Anyways. Pull it back. But like... So my particular example of that is using like the F slur. In some queer spaces, it is acceptable between queer people to use the F slur. No one outside of that space can, but in some queer spaces, it is acceptable. Becky at Target, if you say the F slur, I'm beating you with my shoe.
Yes.
You are not in group. You don't get to use that word.
Yep. I mean, it's the same with the
N-word. Exactly. So, like, there are some pieces of media that I'm kind of like, pack
Let's
it
keep
in.
this to ourselves.
Well, not even just keep it to ourselves, just tone it down. You know, the whites are watching. You know, tone it down. Because we have an audience now. And I don't want anything that we do in group to be misconstrued. You get that with those, like, Mel Brooks movies where it's like, oh, you can't make a Mel Brooks movie. Well, yeah, you can't, but Mel Brooks, an old Jewish man, can. You are right, white person on the internet. You can't make a Mel Brooks movie. Mel Brooks can make a Mel Brooks movie. Yep. Let him make the producers. Let him keep making the producers until he dies.
Yep. Yeah, I see.
So I get it, but it's wrong. And you're doing it wrong because you're not yelling at media, you're yelling at people.
Right.
And I think also, like, for me, it's also the selectiveness. Because you're right. If that's the case and you want to be mad, there's a lot of TV shows that fetishize gay people a lot more than BL. You mad at RuPaul's Drag Race? You mad at Queer Eye?
And you know what, too, though? As one thing I will say about BL, never once have I seen BL being touted as something that is meant to be a realistic representation.
No, I've never seen that.
I've never seen. Now, I'm not saying that I haven't read all manga, so there could be.
How
from what
humble
I
of you.
have, right. But from what I have read, I have never seen a mangaka of yaoi or behind yaoi say, "Oh yeah, I meant for this to be realistic." Actually, our queen Fumi Yoshinaga makes fun of herself in her one shot, "Not Love But Delicious Foods Makes Me Happy," which is not a BL, but it's kind of like, I mean, I don't know what I would call it, but in that her fictional, kind of semi-fictional self is talking to a gay friend of hers and is basically like, hey, yeah, I'm sorry for the trash representation that I put in my, but it, you know,
But again,
and
like,
it's
we don't have that for American romance writers. No one's looking at Anastasia Steele and saying that she's a lamp who wants to do bad butt sex.
right.
This is the worst anal
Yes.
I've ever read. In 50 Shades of Grey. It's the worst.
I don't want to.
It's really
read
bad.
That.
And in the follow-up book, that's just great. It's from Christian's point of view. There's a part where he puts a piece of peeled ginger in a girl's butthole. Like, this is knowledge I wish I didn't have, honestly. Yes.
¿Por qué?
Why is the ginger in her butthole? It's meant to, like, tingle and stuff. I don't recommend it personally. But I'm also not a doctor.
I honestly am just, like, at a loss.
Right, like, what do you... This,
Or,
again, like,
like,
this is information I wish I didn't have.
Peeled ginger.
Yeah. Like a knob
In her
of peeled ginger. You just, like,
butthole.
boop. Yeah. No one's mad at that. I mean, I'm
I am
mad
now.
at that. Yeah. I was also very mad at the line, "I'm gonna make you come like a freight train." I don't know what that means. Like, most freight trains are very slow and irregular, and they have scheduling issues.
I am never gonna read that.
It's so bad.
Series.
It's just bad. It's not even the smut. It's just bad writing. Anyways, like, if you have all of this repressed anger about this stuff, there are so many other things in media that you also need to be mad about.
Yes.
Why are you yelling at fangirls? Most of us are old and have trauma. We don't need this shit. We're like Vietnam vets. Just leave us alone. Let us smoke our pot and read our boys kissing backwards books. Just leave us alone.
Wow, not you just describing my entire life.
Not Amanda in with the direct hit. Right, like let us just, like, eat our edibles and live. Like, come on.
Listen, I'm not bothering you.
Right, like,
I wasn't even talking to you. I wasn't even breathing in your direction.
Right, like, it honestly feels like we're at, like, a table in the food court and someone comes up, "Stop reading that." Excuse me? We weren't even talking. Like, someone, like, comes up to our table at the food court.
What?
Like,
why were you reading over my shoulder?
Right, like, we're just at the Chick-fil-A. Like, what are you talking? So, how do we fix this? Guys, if you want to make an argument, don't name call. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that.
Very true.
Like,
please don't start out calling us a bitch or whatever it was.
Or trash or whatever. Like, anytime you want to weaken your argument, even if it's good, I have stopped listening to you the moment you've called me outside of my name. So, you could make a great argument, but if it is followed by bitch and then words, I don't care. I'm sorry. And I do say this again for both sides. Think before you type. So, like I said for me multiple times in this episode, I admit there are places I could have been less flippant. I can see that in hindsight. Person on other end who was an asshat. You could have...
Not you address. I mean, they probably listening. Shoot.
They ain't listening. Like, you could not have said the things you said. Or worded them the way that you did. And I think, like, the internet makes it super easy to be hateful and to just say things. And I think, like, last episode we talked about, like, not knowing tone. Because, like, I still struggle with that in text with Aisha sometimes and other people. Or, like, I still sound like a serial killer. Just because I have a very, very flat affect when I text sometimes. You laugh. But
I mean, yeah, I know.
Like, I have
I think that's why I'm laughing.
Yeah, like, I have a super flat affect sometimes. when I text. And like, because you can't see me gesturing, you can't see me smiling, you can't like hear the tone of my voice when I sound less like a seme who smokes a pack of cigarettes a day. But because you can't see all that, like sometimes I come off super aggressive on Twitter and in text because you can't read how I'm saying this. So think before you type. That's honestly one of the reasons why I just didn't say anything to a lot of those comments, was because especially as they were coming in, I had nothing constructive to say.
Right.
I just had nothing constructive to add, to rebuke, because usually I try to kill them with kindness, because I've been canceled before, which is a funny ass story that you can read on my blog. Oh. And almost all of the comments that I got, I just said, I'm glad you feel that way, thank you. And it comes off as really passive aggressive, but it's like anyone who has that much balls and free time to come to me and step to me, you know what, you have a point to be made. I hear you, cool. I think you're a shithead, but like cool, I hear you. I didn't respond to any comment that was defamatory towards me or the other person I was writing about, but like anyone who was just posting their opinion, it's like, you're valid, thanks. And it feels way more passive aggressive than it is because it's the internet, but like, no, I genuinely mean that. If you are going to come here and say what you mean, I appreciate that. I still think you're wrong.
Right.
But you have a point that you felt you needed to say, and you did so as eloquently as you could in that moment. So I'm going to acknowledge it. But in the moment with all those messages, I didn't have that. I didn't have grace. I didn't have kindness. I didn't have passive aggression. I had nothing.
It was like, fuck them kids.
Right. It was just, but I didn't. I just didn't have it in me. So
you really didn't. I was very proud.
Thank you. Because like I knew that I wouldn't be adding anything. I would be pissing on this fire with gasoline because I didn't have it in me to be nice. But like, just think before you type, honestly. And like, I like being able to do that. I like being able to have time for an argument because then I get to formulate my thoughts. And sometimes I realize that like I'm wrong. Sometimes I realize that like I'm wrong, or this isn't worth the energy I'm putting into it.
Right.
So think before you type. Leave any of your assumptions at the door. I think the thing that we found a lot was like, by insinuating that we're Fujos, that we had like less of an opinion. You don't know shit about either of us. We are both older, educated, intelligent, articulate Black women.
Aw, thanks for lumping me in to that group. I like that. Thanks. That was sweet.
I hate you. Like, you don't know us. You don't know who we are. Be prepared to listen and have your mind changed. And that's something that actually kind of shocked me in this process, was having to ingest these bullshit arguments to find like the kernels of, you know what, I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's still caked in bullshit. And it was still delivered as bullshit. But if you mind that bullshit, there's this little bitty piece of like, there's something there.
Yeah, there's like a mushroom.
Yeah.
There's
now, most people aren't going to dig through shit to do that. And you shouldn't have to.
Right.
I did because I had to write the script. So the foundation of modern fandom, BL or otherwise, is rooted in discourse, which is why it is so vital to get back to it. There are some points that were made. I'd love to discuss them further, but because they were presented in a shitty way, I stopped caring. There are some great issues that we can talk about within the BL space, like what to do with problematic elements, like what you do about representation, which is ignore it, but you know, whatever, we're gonna have a conversation about it. There are real conversations that can be had, but if you keep presenting them in these shitty ways, no one's gonna want to talk and engage and make it better. At the end of the day, I get heated about anime. I get heated about manga. Y'all haven't seen me at my highest power level. I don't even think Aisha's fully seen it.
I haven't.
I don't think Aisha's fully seen it.
The closest is our conversation about twittering birds when I was like,
when you were wrong, when you were objectively wrong. Yes, I do remember that. When you were objectively incorrect. But like, if you ever call someone out of their name because of a cartoon, I'm going to take both of my chanclas.
I wish get out of my head because I was just about to say I'm going to get my chancla.
Like that with you. Just I have some dirty ass chanclas right by the door because they're there when I take out the trash. I will take both of them and just whoosh. Don't pull this shit. At the end of the day, these are cartoons made for horny Japanese children. We are guests in Japan's house. It is important to us, and we are passionate about it, and we care. But if you ever take this shit too seriously, I will beat the fuck out of you. These kids.
If you're only listening to this, you're missing out.
You're missing some great facial expressions. I had to take medicine for my blood pressure. You.
I think.
Fucking children.
I think this is a good way to. I think this is a good space to end.
All right. Where can you find? Where can you find us?
Oh gosh. You can find me. Just Google Mama Loves Manga.
He's just tired.
There I will be. I will pop up. Mama Loves Manga.
He's just tired. He's just had a long night of listening to me rant.
I mean, well, and then I had a therapy session just before we start and so I'm just like,
Aisha is so cute. She texts me. She's like, I forgot I had therapy at 6, which is when we were supposed to record. And she said, can I punt? And she tried to pull like a 7. I'm like, how about 7:30? So you have like time to get comfortable, maybe eat something. She's like, yeah, that sounds great, thanks. It's like you are always so shocked when I show you basic human kindness.
It shows that says a lot about my childhood. Which
right,
is what my therapist was like, we need to have a conversation about your childhood.
Like, it is so... Because I know, I'm that kid who will flinch if you hug me and I don't know you. Which is about my childhood. It's like, but, I show you basic human kindness, and you are just like Dobby from fucking Harry Potter, like, thank you so much. Has given me a sock, thank you. And it's like,
thank you for considering me.
Thank you for treating me like a human being. It's like, oh, okay. It is the funniest and saddest thing. Like, this happens consistently. Where, she will ask for the smallest amount of lenience. Just the tiniest amount, oh, I didn't get to this. I'm sorry. I was busy. Like, it's okay.
And I'm like
already cowering,
really?
waiting for me to hit her. Assuming that I might turn her or something. Like, that my pin hand is already raised. And it's like, yeah, it's fine. Get to it when you can. She's like, wait.
I'm like, oh. You're not gonna be mad
at me? Like, no, we're fucking 30-year-old adults with lives. No.
Oh, God.
You can find me at AichiYume most places. My blog is at Amanda Actually at WordPress. You can find us as a unit at the Yaoi Shelf. Fucking Google it. I don't know.
Yes.
I'm tired.
Honestly, just Google.
Yeah, I work really hard for that SEO. So I show a lot of titty to Google to keep that SEO going. So if you'd like to support the podcast financially, you can do so at anchor.fm/the Yaoi Shelf. You do not have to. We will continue to be assholes on the internet even without your money, but it is greatly appreciated.
Yes.
We will continue to be pedantic jerks on the internet for free.
Yes. But if you give us money, we will not give it back. That didn't sound like how it was supposed to. It's late, okay?
I really hope that if you'd watch no other video version of this, it's just that moment of my head tilting like a pissed off owl. Of just trying to make that sentence make sense. No, Aisha, that's not how transactions work. That's not how money works. Ooh. we're gonna talk about the inherently problematic aspect of halls.
This one is it'll be this one's gonna be good.
Yeah, we both have opinions, which I think is just every episode.
Yeah, honestly, this whole podcast is
we both have
our
opinions. So yeah, we're gonna talk about the inherently problematic and toxic nature of halls. Yeah, it's gonna be fun, isn't it?
I mean,
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll
Thanks,
see
we
you.
love y'all.
We'll see you. It's fine.
Mm.
It's fine. We'll see you. Bye.
Bye.